So a Spartan, a husky, and an elephant walk into Mitch's tavern. Bartender looks up and says, Hoosier might be next to commit.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy Friday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, we've been talking all this week about the dead period, which ended on Thursday, which would free up potentially a very exciting weekend in the world of basketball recruiting for Will Wade. We've told people to be patient. We've told people that there would be a wave of excitement to come. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Fixing to be about that time. So, confirmed here on Friday, Indiana forward Mackenzie Mgbako is on campus for an official visit with Will Wade and NC State. Quick background on Mackenzie. He is a former McDonald's All-American, which is some of the top players in the country out of the high school ranks each and every year. He's a former top 10 recruit, not just in one state, not just at one position, top 10 recruit nationally. And at Indiana in the 2023-2024 season, he was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. This is a 5-star recruit. He is on campus. Kenton, is Mackenzie Mgbako about to be the first big man to commit to NC State?
First thing first, I'm throwing tomatoes at you for that cold open. Tomatoes.
Come on,
Grayson.
come on.
No. Don't duck the tomatoes. Take them humbly as your penance for that. Take them humbly. Mgbako is absolutely going to be our first big to commit. I'm going to tell you this much. Everybody's worried about Will Wade and how he's going to use the rest of these scholarships. Don't worry. That scholarship number is going to shrink in very short order. Kevin Howell, light that bell tower red right now. Pre-light it. Get it a little warmed up. Get it, we're going to have a Motel 6 situation going on here. We'll keep the light on for you. Because this one, I'm telling you, this is going to be the first domino to fall in many dominoes falling in rapid succession. And I wish I could tell you all more, but I can't. But just know, this weekend, I am guaranteeing you, as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, by the time that Grayson and I are going on to do the squad show next week for Locked On, we will have many less scholarships than we have right now. That is a personal guarantee from me to you.
You will see us grinning ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat on next week's squad episode. More than likely, all of our episodes for this coming week. It's going to be very exciting times here in Raleigh, North Carolina in a very short amount of time. So Mackenzie Mgbako, like I said, is on campus. He is a 6'9" rising junior. He's a forward. He averaged 12.2 points per game for the Hoosiers this year, just under 5 boards a game, little over 1 assist a game, 43.7% from the floor. He can even shoot it just a little bit from beyond the perimeter. He shot 32.7% from there. Wouldn't expect that to be a consistent feature, but I guess if you can do it at times, you can do it. This is a big deal. And I saw Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 talking about this the other day. Supposedly, Mbako's name was thrust into the spotlight, and it was Kentucky and it was NC State that was going to be the two front runners. Well, Kentucky's been signing dudes left and right, including several big men. So it really doesn't even take insider information for you to do, let's say, process of elimination. You're looking at Kentucky's roster, you're looking at NC State's roster, you're saying, well, there's one team with many spots to fill, probably more available funds because the Blue School's been using a lot of them. Wonder where this might go. Boom, Mackenzie Mgbako on campus in Raleigh on Friday. I'd be shocked if you don't hear that this is a done deal in a very short amount of time. I think he will be running with the pack here for this upcoming season. And like I said, he has quite the pedigree to back himself up with. I think I've seen a lot of people say that he never really reached peak potential at Indiana, but it's just another instance of some guys that were former 4-star, former 5-star. They had a lot of flashes you could see at their first stop, but never really reached that point. Will Wade can be the guy to unlock that potential. This staff can be the staff to try and unlock that potential. I think Mgbako slots very nicely into the 4 position, and he'd probably do a hell of a job at that.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you this. We have not had a guy that we look at and say he can protect the rim at a high level, he can run the floor, all those good things like this in quite some time. Okay, so I'm super excited about that. But even beyond that, like I said, first domino of many to fall. You know how the deal goes when you put the dominoes next to each other. One has to fall first. One has to fall first. And this is going to be one of our bigger portal dominoes to fall in terms of guys who were not with Will Wade last year that are going to be running with the pack coming up very shortly here. And I'm here for it. I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of tears, a lot of feet shuffling, a lot of FBI, do something coming up very soon here. Yeah, it's legal now. It's legal to make sure these young men are compensated for their talents. FBI will do nothing except watch you all, cry, shake, and throw up in peace.
In terms of other dominoes to potentially fall here around what we think will be a commitment from Mackenzie Mgbako, we also mentioned Trey Holloman earlier in the week. He's a point guard from Michigan State, was listed as having visits scheduled for both UNC and NC State. I believe Villanova as well, potentially Baylor. I saw Baylor in the mix here late. He is scheduled to visit NC State this weekend, I believe either Saturday or Sunday. That doesn't mean we should all scour all the restaurants in the area of Raleigh and try and figure out which one that potentially that he'll be attending with Will Wade. Don't do that. But if you do, I would admire us as a fan base. No, Trey Holloman is another one. I feel pretty good about his prospects at landing in NC State. We saw that UNC landed a point guard from Colorado State the other night. They're over there thumping their chest because they think they got Steph Curry. I'm here to tell all of them they did not get Steph Curry. Trey Holloman would be an excellent get for NC State at this cycle. They're saying, we got our guy. We don't want him. Okay, we will take him. Trey Holloman was a captain for Tom Izzo at Michigan State. That's a very high pedigree to come with, even if the stats don't pop off the page to you. Give me Trey Holloman. I want to see him in red and white. I think his leadership skills will bleed through the rest of this team. He would be an excellent get at this point in the cycle as well.
I have never seen a bunch of people hit the Coke button harder before anything has even happened yet in my life. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, but it's all right. Again, people are scared because they know the ACC and the nation is about to get ready to learn some reckoning. It's coming. Don't worry, Will Wade will be teaching the course Reckoning 101 starting next year. I'm going to tell you this. Holloman is a guy. He is much more of a glue guy, role guy than a showstopper, but you need those. You need those. Championship teams that go far, teams that win a lot of ball games don't have 10 guys trying to be the star. They have 10 guys trying to star in their roles, and that's what Holloman does. He stars in his role as a distributor. He stars in his role as saying, you know what, I'm going to have to take on a hell of a defensive matchup tonight, and I'm ready for it. He stars in his role, and that is what I think is useful for any team, but especially for Will Wade.
2 more names to keep track of here. We've already spoken about Tyler Harris. He was the 6'8" guard from Washington, shooting nearly 50% from 3. He has already visited NC State, but we've kind of heard nothing since that point. If I had to bet, I would say that's probably because of contract negotiation type ordeals. I've not seen Tyler Harris linked to literally any other programs of recent. So unless that has been completely swept under the rug, I feel pretty good about Tyler Harris's prospects to run with the pack as well. And then the last name, which we spoke about on Thursday's episode, the 6'11" forward from Alabama, that is Jaren Stevenson. Now, he was also linked to both NC State and UNC. This is another player that UNC fans claim that they want nothing to do with. He passed us up the first time, so it's too late now because we're too proud of an institution to take a chance on another player like that. They think that they have their front court set in stone. Fine by me. I'll take me some Jaren Stevenson, a former 4-star, fringe 5-star type of guy, coming from Alabama, kind of stuck behind other players in that front court this year, but Jaren Stevenson's versatility bolts off the page to me. He can shoot the 3 a little bit. He can stretch the floor for you either as a 4 or as a 5. I would like to see him get a little bit more physical in the paint, but perhaps Will Wade and this staff can unlock some things that you've not seen from Stevenson previously at Alabama. So that's 4 names to keep track of here as we move into the weekend. Mackenzie Mgbako currently on campus. Trey Holloman expected to follow him later in the weekend. Tyler Harris and Jaron Stevenson somewhere waiting in the weeds. We told you it was coming. There's big fish on the way. I think there's going to be even more than what we just told you. In fact, I know that there will be, but be patient. This is going to play out the way that Will Wade and the staff wants it to play out, but prepare yourselves. Go ahead and start getting that popcorn ready. As I told you, things are coming. They're good things. They're things to be celebrated here in the very near future. So Chancellor Howell, you know what to do when the time comes. Coming up next, we're talking about perhaps a corresponding move. Freshman point guard Trey Parker has elected to enter the transfer portal. Our thoughts after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Friday sponsor is TurboTax. Taxes used to be waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. This is an expert that gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress and you can focus on your own day. This is an expert who will find you every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All of this so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, and no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Middle portion of our Friday show, talking about what seems to be a little bit of a corresponding move to all this transfer portal buzz. Freshman point guard Trey Parker has announced that he will be entering the transfer portal, although also I saw in his Instagram post that he's not closing the idea of a potential return to NC State. We'll see where that goes. This is a situation that's been a little bit ominous the past couple weeks, and everybody's kind of wondering if he will, if he won't. What's Will Wade think? What does Trey Parker think? I saw Trey Parker a couple weeks back kind of reposting Will Wade's arrival to NC State, and it kind of made you believe that maybe he will be sticking around to deal with some of this reckoning. But after you heard silence following that point, and you saw the news from Paul McNeil will be returning, Zamika Wilkins, I guess indirectly announced that he'll be also honoring his commitment and coming to NC State, to get nothing from Trey Parker, you had to know that there was more going on here behind the scenes. And so he has obviously elected to enter the transfer portal. Trey Parker's a player that we wish we could have seen more of this year, especially when the year was a bit of a train wreck. And we've always said on this show that if you're going to lose, do it with the young guys so they grow and, benefit you more in the future. But Trey Parker playing just under 12 minutes a game, never really found himself in a set rotation to kind of put down some roots and grow out from there. Kenton, give me your initial thoughts about Trey Parker entering the portal.
I mean, it was kind of expected. Like you said, there's been a ton of activity in terms of guards coming in to rally, to visit, and all that good stuff. But even beyond that, this is more so a moment where I'm like, it would be nice to have him back. But if he doesn't decide to come back, I hope he lands somewhere that's good for him. At the end of the day, you're looking at a situation where we say there are plenty of shots and all that to get up, but if you're unsure you can get them, I understand that. And even beyond that, I'm never mad at a guy for saying, let me test the market, see what my value is, if you're not already being paid and treated like you're the top dog, the number one option, and all that good stuff. I would just say, don't linger around too long in that portal. Do not linger around and kind of, say, oh, I need everything to be perfect or whatever that situation is, because you're in essence going to get those calls of, oh, we can give you this, we can promise you that, all that good stuff. And again, if one of those promises sounds enticing enough, go for it. But always be aware. I'm a firm believer in the saying, the grass isn't greener on the other side, it's greener where you water it. So, coming back to Raleigh and watering it here might have been the way for him, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe he's going to go on elsewhere and have a ton of success. Who knows?
It feels like it's a situation where there's not really a wrong answer. Like, I'm sure plenty of us would like the idea of Trey sticking around and wanting to be a part of this new era with Will Wade at the helm and stick alongside Paul McNeil as well. Those two had the potential to be a very electric duo, but at the same time, it's like, well, he can find what he thinks is a better situation for him. At the same time, he gives another roster spot for Will Wade to try and get aggressive with. So I really just feel like it's a situation where it's kind of a win for all parties. And we certainly wish Trey Parker nothing but the best. It definitely was a situation where the mess of the season and the mess of the roster construction and the mess of the rotations of said roster construction, Trey Parker's a little bit of a victim of that. Now, I will say, I think a more refined version of Trey Parker is going to be a much better basketball player than what we saw this year. You saw the athletic flashes. You saw his ability to knock down shots from beyond the perimeter. He was a bit more of a gifted passer than I thought he could be, but at times it also came with a handful of costly turnovers as well.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of his game that still needs work, a lot of his game that still needs refinement. And whether it was going to be here or at another place, there's still a couple levels that he has to take to be a more complete basketball player. And so I think he would have been kind of a work in progress if he did stay here at NC State. I wouldn't have been really surprised if he kind of got passed over in terms of playing time, or, to be honest, recruited over with the amount of talent that Will Wade's looking at bringing into the program here. So I certainly don't hate the decision, and I certainly understand the decision from Trey Parker's point of view. So we certainly wish Trey Parker nothing but the best, and we'll be very interested to see where he lands in the future. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Friday show with Fan Friday, addressing our top comments of the week. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Friday show. Now time for Fan Friday, addressing our top comments of the week. Here we go. First one comes from Scott Hester in reference to football. He says, this is the first season and quite a few that we're not hearing high expectations of our team. Me personally, I think this is good for us. No preseason hype before game one. Let's just go out and ring some bells and prove it in game one. I understand there's no red and white game. Finally, some sense of seriousness. Go Pack. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people chatter about this, or in other ways, not chatter about it at all, because this has been the quietest NC State football spring that I can ever remember. With the spring game not being public and the media not having full access to a lot of the practices, we have really heard next to nothing. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's kind of up to your own interpretation. But I tend to side here with Scott. I understand NC State wanting to block out all of the noise, because this is a team that's kind of under reconstruction. You have two new coordinators. You have who is still a young quarterback in CJ Bailey. This is a team that's going to have to reestablish a completely new identity. We, the two of us, are still trying to figure out who the leaders are going to be, perhaps who the number one jersey is going to be. And I think it'll be very interesting to kind of find all of that out organically, I guess you could say, once the fall rolls around. So I don't think it's a bad thing that you've heard nothing. I think there is some good to it, but Kenton, give me your thoughts on a relatively silent football spring.
Y'all know the law of the wolf. When you expect the least, that's when you get the most. This team is one that, like you said, the expectations aren't high. And moreover than anything else, everything everybody's been very tight-lipped this offseason. Yep. However, from what I heard, the things that were concerning the most were addressed in a very meaningful way. And so, you can't help but to feel good about that. And again, everybody's got eyes on Will Wade. Everybody's got eyes on that basketball team. But I'm telling you, I stand by my prediction that this team wins either 5 or less or 8 or more. I stand by that because there is something about this team that it feels a little different. And again, Grayson and I have never told you, oh, pack by 90. We've never been those guys. I am telling you, this offense has the potential to be something special.
You got to think that Coach Doran was overjoyed with the amount of buzz that Will Wade has brought to the program, because let's be honest, folks, none of us are even thinking about football right now. We are fully focused on Will Wade and who he's bringing to this basketball program in year one. So 1,000%. There's probably no one more happy about that than Coach Dave Doran. Second one here comes from Christopher Batts. They say college sports are moving in a pro direction. Will Wade knows it and is getting ahead of the curve. It's not just about titles of GM being on staff. It's about how you approach the game and roster building. Analytics, connections, and money management, that's what the pros do, so we will too. So yes, obviously, with Andrew Slater being brought onto the staff, we kind of laid out his past and what he really brings to the table here for NC State. But also Patrick Stacy, more of a Moneyball type of guy, He invented Jam Basketball Intelligence, which is highly analytical basketball scouting. It's kind of a new way to think about how you build a roster and how you want to build out a staff. It is a tad revolutionary, but it's not exactly new because, to Christopher's point here, college sports are starting to emulate how the pros are run. And they do have a GM. They do have what, symbolizes a front office and NIL and paying for players. And you see Nico Iamaleava's restructuring a contract, which is a bit ridiculous at the college level. But Will Wade and what he's bringing to this staff, he is getting ahead of the curve because you've heard how teams kind of want to bring in a GM and they want to kind of adapt to the times and be more aggressive in the portal. Will Wade is doing that while also thinking outside the box about who he's hiring on the staff. So it's kind of a double whammy. And we've said it a million times already, could not be happier about the staff that he's assembled.
Let me tell you something. Analytics, connections, money management, those are the three keys to darn near life. If you got those three things working behind you, you're going to be in a better position than the people who don't. But more important than anything else, absolutely this team is moving in that kind of pro direction because college is moving towards a more pro model. Who is better fit for that than a guy who was doing it before it was even legal? And now he has the infrastructure in place to really make that happen. I am telling y'all right now, Will Wade, he's about to cook. Actually, let me not say he's about to cook. He is cooking. He is actively cooking. He's keeping the temperature low so the cheese doesn't curd. He's making sure that the pasta's al dente. He's doing everything that you would need a head coach to do in these first, again, not even 90 days in yet. And yet we are talking about, man, one of the highest recruits in NC State history. We're looking at a portal class that we're going to look back at this class and say, man, this is one of the best portal classes of all time at NC State. So I have no doubt in my mind Will Wade is building this thing brick by brick the right way.
For a coach that we joked about was ahead of his time in this new realm and this new landscape of college sports, not only does he have, I guess what you could say is experience in doing so, but he also brought in the staff to match it and do exponentially more than what he was doing back at LSU. So that's exactly what he was talking about in bringing a reckoning to Raleigh. Next one comes from Derek Nipper, says, I have heard that Tyler Harris has given a verbal commitment and that we will hear about this soon. Is this believable? So as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I'm under the impression that the two sides, so that's Tyler Harris and Will Wade and NC State, are kind of just having a little bit of a standoff, more than likely about NIL numbers and what that may or may not mean here in the future. Because yes, I have not seen Tyler Harris take any other visits. I've not seen him linked to any other schools. All I know is that Tyler Harris came to NC State a week ago. By all accounts, everything went well, and then it was kind of nothing after that. So if I'm an NC State fan, I feel pretty freaking good about where things stand right now with Tyler Harris, and more or less, it just feels like a matter of time.
I will say this. I would be more than shocked to not see Mr. Harris suit up for the red and white next year. I'd be very shocked if that did not happen, and I will leave it there.
Because you gotta figure, do you think Will Wade's bringing him to campus if he doesn't have basically full intent on making this thing happen? I'll leave that one right there. Next one comes from RL Niner, and disclaimer here, this is a Carolina fan. Stevenson, talking about Jaron Stevenson, isn't even on the UNC radar now. He had his shot 2 years ago. We are good with our front court, especially once we get Catchings. This is Kanan Catchings from BYU on Friday. Also, we locked up the better, younger point guard last night in Evans, although Holloman is still solid. I wasn't even going to comment, but the arrogance is confusing to me. You guys seem to be bragging about the chance to get the leftovers. So first thing here, they can't be leftovers if you never had them to begin with. Second thing here on the comment about Kyan Evans from Colorado State, the point guard, he's kind of a poor man's Elliot Cadeau, which is funny because Evans is playing in a worse conference with somewhat mediocre numbers. And I've seen a lot of Dirty Foot Clubbers point to the 3-point percentage from Evans. Weren't y'all doing the same thing with Cade Tyson this past year, who came from Belmont and gave you absolutely nothing? That's what I thought. Give me the experienced P4 captain of a Michigan State team every single time. Give me Trey Holloman. And the last point about Stevenson, he's not on your radar. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? UNC was the first team linked to Stevenson when that news broke just the other day. So you intend to make me believe that UNC is not a serious contender here when his mother played for the Dirty Foot Club? Got it, buddy.
Well, how fun is this? How wonderful this is. You know, there's a thing. There's a very interesting thing that I remember when I was in high school. Our head coach showed us a picture of this was back when Michael Phelps was the guy in terms of swimming. He was in his prime when I was in high school, or in that area. And he showed us a picture of Michael Phelps and a few guys swimming next to each other. Now, of course, it's Michael Phelps, so he's in front of everybody else. But do you know what Michael Phelps was looking at while he was swimming? He was looking straight ahead toward the finish line. You know what all the other guys were looking at? Take a wild guess, Grayson. What do you think all the other guys were looking at? They were looking at Michael Phelps. Hey, RL Niner, be confident in your program, baby. Hey, you guys are on an upward trajectory, right? Everything is good over there. Go get yourself some of that pasta from Topo. And don't you worry about what old what old Tractor University is doing. Because, you won't need to know anything that's going on over here. Oh, yeah, they're leftovers. Oh, yeah, these are second. By the way, what a way to talk about a legacy player. What a way to talk about a legacy player to your school. But I digress. Again, hey, worry about yourselves over there. Everything is good over there in Dirty Footland, isn't it? You all are happy about your coach. You're happy about the direction of your program. You're sure that the future is bright, right? Right? Even if not, take your tail on somewhere. Go cry over there in Isaac Shade's comments. I'm sure he wants to hear about how excited you are. I digress.
For context, I'll go ahead and bring this up on the screen. This is the picture that Kenton was referring to. As you can see, Michael Phelps has the black swim cap on. He is currently winning the race, focused on the only thing in front of him, which is the finish line. That is the wall. The Brazilian swimmer in the green cap is focused on Michael Phelps. How do you think that worked out for him? I can tell you how it worked out for him. He didn't win the race because Michael Phelps won the race. Because Michael Phelps was focused on himself, in his lane, and his goal. Let that be a lesson to all of you over in Dirty Footland. You have your championships, you have your history, this, that, and the other. That ain't this, and this ain't that. It's a new era. This is a reckoning to walk up to your doorstep. Will Wade is coming. The recruits are coming. And y'all passing off what you think are leftovers is very funny. It's very funny to me. We'll see how that pans out for y'all. See you soon. That will do it for us here on Friday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Give us your thoughts on Mackenzie Mgbako from Indiana, potentially joining the pack as soon as what we hope to be this weekend. Also, Michigan State point guard Trey Holloman, who is scheduled to be visiting NC State this weekend as well. Give us your thoughts on Jaron Stevenson, on Tyler Harris, any other names you'd like to float out there, anything regarding Will Wade in the transfer portal. Put your thoughts in the comment box and let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts on Trey Parker departing from NC State and what that means for this roster and potentially NC State this coming season. Anything else you have on your mind, drop that in the comment box as well. Mash that subscribe button. We'll see y'all back here on Monday or potentially sooner if we need to have an emergency press conference. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack. Yeah, they're getting recruits over there. They're leftovers. Dorks.